Happy Independence Day for everybody in the American audience. The holiday where we celebrate by blowing stuff up. It's a good time. I wanted to chat with you a little bit about freedom. But not in a way that we normally talk about it, specifically around July 4th. I wanted to talk about it in terms of receiving an ADHD diagnosis, what those phases are that we go through after we receive that diagnosis, and what that's like. Keep in mind that this is from my perspective. Your perspective might be a little bit different, but that's okay. The first one is relief. After receiving that diagnosis and we start to look through our past, things start to click together and everything starts to make sense. We begin to realize that there are reasons why we have acted certain ways. And there are drivers behind why we have or have not been able to do specific things. This is a very gratifying and euphoric experience at times. And the more we learn about ADHD, the more clarity actually comes into our behavior from the past. Now, before we get to the second phase, there's something really important that we need to note. Not all of these phases happen sequentially or in any specific order. Sometimes we'll hit phase 1 and we'll go to phase 2 and then we'll go back to phase 1 for a little bit. And we'll intermix it up. And that's okay. So don't think of this in terms of like a series of events, but more of a amalgam that they'll happen at different times. With that being said, the second phase is grief. We mourn for what might have been, for all of the needless suffering that we went through, all of the awful positions we put other people into, and the dreams and hopes and other things that we don't feel like we're ever going to be able to achieve because of this label that we now have, which is ADHD. This can be a very difficult time, but it's important to recognize a couple of things. You're still you. You just now have a name that you can put with the situation that you're experiencing. There's nothing wrong with you.
Something's wrong with you. Really.
You're just built different than neurotypical individuals, and that's okay. This phase is necessary as we learn to recalibrate from looking at the world from what we're told how it's supposed to be from a neurotypical perspective into how do we look at the world now from an ADHD perspective. So yes, it's going to feel bad, but you'll get through phase 2 and come out the better for it. Phase 3 moves on from grief and goes into the healing process. We might be tempted to ask questions like, how do I fix this? That's not a great question because it implies that you're broken. You're not broken. You just have to learn how to live life as an ADHDer. And the good news is you've probably already figured a bunch of it out. You just don't know that you have. So instead of asking questions like, how do I fix this? Focus on other questions like, how do I work with my ADHD? Sometimes it helps if you give your ADHD a name. That's one of the things that I do. If you've given your ADHD a name, put it in the comments. If you haven't, what name would you give it? Phase 4 is we move on from that healing to how do we thrive? Which is a great question. There's this debate in the ADHD community about whether it's a superpower or not. Some people feel like it's a curse. Now, the bad days are undeniable. They still happen. But on the good days, you can do some pretty amazing things. But this whole debate hinges on the idea that superpowers are just all good all the time and there's no drawbacks to any of them, which is very definitely not true. Yeah, shooting lasers out of your eyes seems like a really cool thing until you accidentally shoot your neighbor. So if you look at ADHD as a superpower, yeah, it's not all sunshines and rainbows. But if you look at it as a curse, that's not true either. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is, whether it's a superpower or not, we need to learn to thrive with our ADHD. And that involves taking advantage of systems and using our strengths. If you focus on the negative, that's all you're going to see. But if you look at your strengths, which is kind of difficult for ADHDers because we have pretty low self-awareness, but if we focus on those strengths and we try to use them and take advantage of them, we will find that this is a lot easier to deal with.
Agreed.
Now don't forget to put your name or your potential name of what you call your ADHD in the comments. I'll put mine in there too. And as always, thanks for spending some time with me today. I appreciate you, and I look forward to the next one where we engineer the crap out of ADHD. Now, go blow something up, but in a responsible way.